as the kids say. But yeah, as the kids say, I'm pretty chill, pretty fly. What would you say describes you? What expression?
I don't know, but for some reason, like, yeah.
Whoa.
What was that? I'm pretty fly for a white guy. Just popped into my head.
You are though.
No, I
about you.
Just because you said something, and I was looking around, just you walking through your house there. There's a lot of cool. There's a lot of cool little things on the wall you got going on.
Yeah, this is this old farmhouse that I used to live in. I come here from time to time to think. It's like it's still, I still have access to it, which is cool. And this has just a bunch of stuff. Like there's like TVs and boxes and like instruments and a computer and the sun. And I spray paint walls and do all kind of weird stuff. It doesn't even have to make sense. It's just like, hey, if you're bored, just real quick. And it's not good, but it's fun.
I mean, imagine if you wanted to sell one of those things, you'd have to come in there with a chainsaw. You'd have to cut it all down. You'd have to move it somewhere else. I mean, or someday you could take a picture of it, make an NFT, and put it on Atomic Hub or Nifty Blocks. I mean,
yeah, I'm gonna let it sit here and get famous. Speaking of Nifty, by the way, are you psyched about the token drop that's about to happen?
I am. I gotta go get myself some more wax because I did something kind of smart but kind of stupid yesterday.
Same. What'd you do? I did something crazy. I made a whale move, but I don't know if it's gonna help me out for that token sale.
Nice. I did not make a whale move. But what I did was I was checking some stuff on the market, and I found a 100 by 100 plot over in Chicken Caw for sale, and I was like, this is not a bad price. I mean, it was a great price if wax didn't double. But even with wax doubling, I didn't buy the cheapest one on the market either because I bought something with trees because I'm a tree lover.
You are a tree lover.
And so I decided to pick that up. And I thought, what am I going to do with it? I haven't decided yet, but like I did this with the Nasty Hooks, and they came up with the idea to turn their half 250 by 250 plot into our show plot. And Corey and I have one in Genesis for our show plot. I don't have any 100 by 100s, but now that I do, I was thinking maybe we could do something fun, and that could be our Shallow Dive with Love show plot.
Oh, let's make it like a really shallow swimming pool, and then I don't know, but yeah, we could have fun with it.
Yeah, it might be fun.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for a shallow pool, by the way. What did you do last week? We missed the show. I wanted to catch people up on what you were up to because I've been very visible out here. No, I'm just kidding. It's probably more me that's been missing.
Hey, we did a show last week, I think.
Did we? No, we did a Media Moguls thing with Miss Teen Crypto and Ken, but I think we missed Shallow Dive, or did you just do it without me?
No, you're right. Maybe I did. I don't know. It gets confusing. I do so many shows. I think, we did do one with Bullshipples. You're right, we did.
I missed that one. It sucks. I wanted to be on that one really bad. I was from something called Burnout, which is when you take a trip to New York at the last minute and you stay in the studio all night every night and then you rush back home and just work the next day. That's called burnout.
I wanted to ask you about that, right? Like, I think you're allowed to talk about it, but you were doing some music production with Banga.
Yeah. So there's some things going on. I'm making some music with Bang Out. We're putting together a lot of stuff actually. So we'll probably be doing like regular things. We're going to create sort of like a rap group, if you will. I don't know if you've seen groups like Run the Jewels or like, the Beastie Boys or anything like that. Sometimes people get together and they do stuff. So that's what we're going to do. And we're going to kind of, in some ways, give a voice to some of the art that I've been creating too, that I don't know how to drop because it's just kind of like, in some ways, like a higher quality of art than I've typically been putting out. I've got like all these things saved for just, bigger projects. And this is one way to put them to good use because they're all collecting dust. And, you know, I just got to get some of that stuff out. You never know what's going to happen in life. And you got to just make sure that you're producing and just getting things out there so that people know that you've actually done something while you're here on this earth.
Imagine if schools taught their students to be producers as opposed to you know, all the other shit that they teach how to be. That would be pretty amazing, right? Like even like producing something, you're right, 100%, right? Like if you're lucky enough to be able to produce art and music, that's great. But like just producing in life, right? As opposed to, you know, consuming and absolutely. I mean, most people in this space, I think, are probably producers. They're the type of people that would go out and find ways to self-enrich themselves, not just, you know, watch Golden Girls and wait to die.
But you watch Golden Girls a lot?
No, I don't know why. I just feel like, I mean, of course, the older one. Like,
are you a B. Arthur guy?
Yeah, I don't even know who they are.
Betty White?
No, the old one, the grandma, like the mom of the Golden Girls. Like that's me. Yeah, I like. Yeah, I like her sassy attitude. That's good. I think the older you get, the more you get to have that sassy attitude. It's like hand in hand. The more famous of a rapper you become, and the older you get, you have the right to own that sassier attitude.
Yeah, she's more of like a platinum girl at this point. You know. But I think that you know, I mean, as a producer of any content, you're going to create your own work ethic just by wanting to finish your own work. So I think that for people to finish their or pursue their passions rather and just kind of get in this space and get behind things that they're like really behind, like emotionally, like long gone are the days of like trying to like fill out an 8-hour shift so that your boss is happy. Like you'll be there 12 hours a day because you just like want to sit there and uplift and create stuff, you know? So I think this is cool. I like where this is going. I like where I can fit some of my art stuff into that. And it's cool. You know, I don't know. I know that you probably feel this way, but it's cool to work on a project that you actually give a shit about. I've worked on other projects where it got harder and harder to care over time because they weren't producing. Once again, it comes down to production. And yeah, it's cool. Like I know people have been super happy about being able to just kind of mine Upliftium by, you know, being a user. I don't know, like what are you psyched about this week? I keep drifting away from what I'm doing in the music world. Should I talk about it? Should I just get to it?
Yeah, I know you're dancing away from it, and I'm having trouble. So like, well, should I pull you in and throw you in the deep end?
Right.
I mean, this is only shallow dive with love, so it's up to you. I mean, like, there's 3 people watching, and they're not going to tell anyone, so I'm pretty sure that we can like let all the secrets out of the bag.
All right,
but before you do, I wanted to ask you this because I think like some people might and they might not know. But you've been doing this for a while, right? Like you've been making music and being an artist for quite a while. And like I'm, you know, not very artistic. I'm a little artistic, but and I'm a writer. And like I would love to work like 10, 13, 14 hours a day writing the shit that I want to write or drawing the shit that I want to draw, right? So it's funny because like it's not this work ethic that it's like, oh, I just don't want to work. I just want to, you know, sit at a cafe and drink coffee. I mean, that's part of it. But as I'm sitting at a cafe drinking coffee, I'm doing this, right? Like as you're thinking, you're painting graffiti on walls of country farmhouses, for example, right? Like this is like something that you want to do, right? Like it's you want to make a giant mess and you want to do it in an interesting way. And so I think like people need to understand that, right? Like no matter what you want to do, like I know people who love motorcycles, right? They want to like restore a motorcycle, right? Yeah. And if they can get a job working at a garage that pays them enough money to take the idea of money off the table so that they can think about what they want to do, they can focus about what they want to do. I think that's where we need to be. And so, yeah, like I know that you're like big into art. I know that you're big into music. I know that these are 2 things that like drive you passionately in the world. And you're actually at a point now where you're kind of able to potentially maybe sustain yourself doing what you love. And I think that's a really like, and that all comes from crypto. And that's another thing that you love is crypto. But like that all kind of comes to a head with where you are now and what you're doing. So yeah, tell us what you can, because I think it's really exciting for you and to be your friend, you know, to see you go through this kind of, wow, I get to actually do this.
Well, you'll see some official announcements from all these people as time goes on. They don't want to like release it. I'm allowed to talk about it now. I got the blessing of all these people actually over the weekend. I kind of retouched base and just made sure it was cool because they're all like pretty, you know, they have decent followings and whatnot. So I'm doing a few collaborations that are going to go sort of hand in hand with the music career that I'm trying to sort of put together behind the scenes here. So one of which is going to be with Dmitry Buterin and Lgnd. So Dmitry is the father of Vitalik Buterin, creator of Ethereum. So he's, you know, he's pretty big in this space. He's got a lot of notoriety, but a lot of people don't know that Dmitry is like a very spiritual person, and he focuses a lot on, you know, mindfulness and just kind of what it means to be human and just like, what is this? What is our consciousness? So he's very focused on sort of, I guess, helping people or inviting people to sort of find themselves a little bit or just be themselves a little bit. And so I'm excited for that reason to work on it with him. And Lgnd is very similar in that sense. So what the project will probably end up being, and I say probably, but we're working on it now. So I guess what it will end up being is a series of photographs from Dmitry. And he's a very good photographer. I love his stuff. And then I'll be doing kind of my digital spin on those things or interpretation. You know, if it's like too good for me to want to touch, I'll just do an interpretation of it of some kind. And then Lgnd is going to create some music to help, I guess, capture the emotions that are in that.
So wait a minute here. You are you're going to do an interpretation in art of his photograph.
But these pieces of art are going to represent different emotions on the human spectrum of emotions. So the music is going to be designed to go with the imagery to create the emotion. We're trying to inspire the actual emotion in the person as they view or interact with it. So if it's happy, we want you to be intensely happy when you're viewing it. If it's sad, you know, we want to take you there too. So I think it's
I love it. Yeah, I love it. I don't know. I have no idea what you're doing, but I've often thought about this. Like, it's really interesting because you could take like a photo, and you could just change the tint or the color, the orientation of it, and like that changes the whole mood of it, right? And so like I've done this like where I've changed it like from blue to green to red to orange, and just changed the tint and the color. And you've got that original photo and all these ones around, which I like. I'm a bit of a nerd, and I thought that was interesting. But it sounds to me like what you're doing is you're actually painting like a whole new, right? Like rather than just changing the color and the tint, you're actually probably changing like the background and the dynamics and the scope and the scheme and everything is kind of being thrown into this like dry warped machine that tumbles around until it pops out with something that fits your emotion at the time. Is that maybe a correct way to?
Yeah, I would say from a visual standpoint, yeah, we're essentially just trying to mess with people in the best way possible. So even from like you know, from that visual standpoint, we're trying to take you there, like the darkness. You know, we're going to use darker shades, all that stuff. But you know, there's stuff where certain chords, even on a piano, will inspire certain moods, like certain chords in music, certain sounds, notes, they'll sort of inspire a certain mood or feeling. So as well as frequencies and then beats, you know, you have things like binaural beats they'll sort of inspire certain like brainwave patterns, try to get people in their like flow state or their alpha state or whatever you call it. And I think that we're looking at a lot of that stuff and trying to combine those elements as well and try to make it sort of like an immersive, somewhat visceral experience, even though it's like just through your computer screen, with the ultimate intention of adding AR and VR elements in the future.
I like it. Yeah, I'm excited to see that. And yeah, whenever you guys get it done, let's put some of that art up. Maybe even in the shallow dive with Love Plot in the uplift.
Definitely. And we want to kind of build some community around this, the same way that you see around like CryptoPunks or something like that, except being focused on people just being themselves and being them instead of, you know, having something represent them. So we're working on ways to do that and to have people participate to where they can feel like they're a part of this project too. And that'll kind of, I'm going to make more announcements about that stuff, but we'll see some official announcements from them as soon as it's getting a little closer. And I think that's when it'll be like kind of real to people, because I talk a lot of shit. So I think people are going to just be like, okay. And
you do talk a lot of shit, but I will say this, like I've had the pleasure and the privilege of seeing some of your art, and it's like, it doesn't ring Nathan McCourt. It doesn't ring like you're crazy online. Like your art is freaking good. It's detailed. It's got these weird kind of like, you know, aspects that I can pin to your character. But it's like, you know, whenever I see a banana, right, I think no, I like right, like this kind of works, right? Like that's definitely a dude who would
paper to the wall and sell it,
right? Andy Warhol would definitely paint a banana. It's like, hey, there's an apple on a picture over there. Is that no? It's not an Andy Warhol. Like, he's got that right. Of course, he built that up over time. But like I've seen your work, and there's a range of what you do, but your art is really good, man. And like you could probably, if you were in the right place at the right time, you could probably be like an artist on your own. But what I like about what you're doing is, instead of being a struggling artist, you've decided to try to use blockchain, cryptocurrency, music, technology.
I'm building a really wide foundation because I plan to build something that's very tall, and it needs to be able to stand once it's constructed. So I think it's important to take the time. And although I sort of have a reputation for being kind of like this run and gun, loose, wacky person, when it comes to the bigger picture, you know, the high level, as they say in business all the time, when it comes to that, I'm trying to be pretty calculated, where I'm casting a wide net, and I'm building outward before I build upward. And you know, that comes with building some community around yourself and taking a little time and you know, putting your personality out as well as your art, and also not having too much pride to be a working artist. So and it's important. I learn a lot from the people that I'm around. Like, you know, the team that we're with at Lgnd is crazy good. Like I learn stuff every day from just being a part of this. So it's one of those situations where even if I was able to completely stand on my own 2 feet as just an artist, I would still be involved in this team, because it's just it feels really good. You know, it's like that kind of sweet spot that you find with a career, where you feel like you're sort of serving your higher purpose, but you're also, you know, a part of a team. So
right, yeah, and that's you are part of the team. I don't know if people know this, but you're part of the YoshiDrops team.
Yeah, I don't put it out there much. Yeah, I don't know. I felt like kind of trying to give a one up to everybody here, because like when I'm looking at this art thing as a career path and music as a career path, which I'll talk about like more in a little bit, I guess, like this is good for me as an artist. And I think it's something that we see in this space, where a lot of artists, instead of realizing what's good for them, they think that they're too good for the opportunity. And it's like, you have to be open-minded, and you have to be willing to share your gifts and kind of like build something for yourself along with other people, so that you can help each other get to the top. There's a lot of things that are very beneficial if you're like an artist or a musician and you're working for something like YoshiDrops. I mean, it's sort of a dream job, you know. I'm getting to interact on the design level of like creating artwork, collaborating on music. It's perfect. So it serves my higher purpose. So in some ways I am like free as an artist, and sort of standing on my own feet. It's something I'm sort of like realizing more and more, is that in some ways I'm already there, and I just want to take the next step so that I'm working towards some sort of a legacy as an artist, instead of just like doing it, you know, to kind of get by, I guess.
Well, and I mean, I know you have quite a big collection of things as well, but the last thing you want to do is like fill up a truck and drive them to like the local park and unpack it and say, "Hey, get your like Love Is the Answer Nathan prints here for $1 million," because nobody's gonna buy them. They're gonna be like, "This dude's sitting in the fucking park, selling like prints," and like that's the kind of, we have this. It's weird. We have this weird concept, I think, especially when it comes to art. It's kind of like once you've made it, then your paintings are worth millions. But before you've made it, you're like the starving artist relegated to like, selling them, outside, selling them beside the guy who collects like the $1, so to clean the toilets. But it's weird, right? Like, and so we have this really difficult. I think I don't want to. Again, I've seen your art, and I think that it probably does belong in the galleries somewhere. But where do you think you would be without NFTs? Right? Like, do you think that you would have this much hope in getting your art out there? Do you think that you would be like, "Oh yeah, I'm just gonna walk into New York, I'm gonna find a gallery to list my shit, and I'm gonna walk away like making millions"? Like, what did NFTs do to like kind of solidify or change in your mind that this is actually a possibility? Or did it do nothing? I mean, we all know how much you love NFTs. If you want to throw them under the bus and say, "No, my art's awesome, it would stand alone on itself. Screw you, NFTs, but I'll use you," like, that's fine. You can say that too. But I'm assuming that's not the answer.
I think like ultimately it's just delivered another medium for art to be successful. But I think, for me, I think it kind of is the reason people are starting to appreciate digital art instead of just sort of what we'd see, like, photography, painting, whatever, whatever you're into. Because nobody really gave a shit about my digital stuff until I was in this space. Like, they're like, "Oh, that's cool. You made it on your iPad or whatever, your computer. That's cool." And they didn't really take it as seriously. And now I'm combining, like, a lot of my stuff will be like even photographs I've taken, like, and making collage with it to like create real looking images and stuff. Like, I do all kind of weird stuff. And it's things that weren't really appreciated until I was a part of this space. I was just, painting and stuff, trying to get those into galleries. That wasn't going super well because, like most things, you have to sort of make relationships and do things you don't want to do and kind of take bad deals. And,
I'm kind of curious, like, what costs more, to mint NFTs on Ethereum or to get your artwork in a gallery for a weekend?
To get in the gallery.
So I guess Ethereum still has that, right?
That's the thing where a lot of the NFT artists are, and I have the same issue. I don't like paying those costs either, but like, a lot of them haven't tried in the conventional space and seen how costly that can be at times.
Right. Yeah.
And even transferring an NFT, and I'm a big proponent of wax, but I hear this debate all the time, like, "Oh, we'll just send somebody an NFT costs like, 10, 20, 30, 40, whatever bucks." And I've thought about this, and I read a story once of somebody transferring a painting from a museum to their home, and the security cost was like $400,000, and then they had to have it, like, I don't know, some kind of preservative measures so that it wouldn't like deteriorate when it hit the oxygen, so it's super old. Like, there's some like weird things where they thought it would just mess it up by being out in the environment. So having said that, I think ultimately they spent over $700,000 moving this painting. And I was thinking, like,
and in the end, they didn't even get it to their house because Pierce Brosnan done come stole it.
But if somebody like Beeple sells them for $69 million,
right?
And it only costs $100 to move it from place to place, that's, in the art world, that's actually pretty remarkable.
Yeah, seriously, if you're spending
it's gonna cost millions of dollars.
Right. If you're spending $69 million to buy a piece art and it's only costing you $100 to move it, like, seriously, get some better, life sense, because you're an idiot, right?
Well, and this is the thing, like, so I just think that there's a place for everything. Like, I think that if you're talking things, like Street Fighter, MLB, Uplift, YoshiDrops, Lgnd, like any of these things, these are good for wax. But if you want to talk about like the Mona Lisa, sure, that's an Ethereum thing. That's why everybody's trying to bridge with each other, because everybody sees so many options and so many opportunities and other utility features and other places. They want to be a part of it. So it's like, I think recognizing that just like in the real world, there's a time and a place for everything. You know, it's like that in blockchain too.
Yeah. So right now with YoshiDrops, go man. Right now, right now with YoshiDrops, we're doing something interesting. Like we have our drops. You can pick them up with wax. You can pick them up with Ethereum, and you can pick them up with credit card. However, once you pick those drops up, they live and they reside on the Wax blockchain. So I'm curious about this collaboration that you're doing with old Mr. Buterin, right? Yeah, right. And where is it going to live as a piece of blockchain art? Where will this live? Are you allowed to talk about that? And like can we just make it live? Just one out of like 1 billion of them can just live on wax, so we can shut the fucking ETH heads up. Be like,
so I mean, this idea, because I'm a part of both communities, and I'm some people don't like me for that, but
I love you because of that. I think everyone should be there. I do.
Well, that's one reason that Dimitri likes me too. I'm very diplomatic. I'm very good at kind of navigating these waters and being friends with everybody. So it's like, I think that's an interesting discussion that's going on behind the scenes. And I'm not sure, honestly. I'll just say I don't know. I'll just be real. Because yeah, there's some obvious reasons it might go to the one chain, but then, you know,
of course, yeah.
You know that at YoshiDrops we're talking to Lgnd, and he's the second collaborator on the project. You know, him, Dimitri, myself. So it's 2-1 there.
I mean, I've been saying, you know, for a while, it's kind of, I guess maybe we'll get there someday. But if you look at like blockchain and crypto and the market in general, right? Like you've got Ethereum, right? And all of these projects. You've got EOS, you've got Matic, you've got all of these other projects, Cardano, who are saying we are the scalable solution for Ethereum, right? And then you've got things like P Network, who's going in and they're creating these contracts that like are depository contracts where you deposit your crypto into it, and then you can use those other chains for DeFi, right? There actually doesn't seem to be any difference, if somebody figures it out, between that and art or that and music on the blockchain, right? You could potentially, and I think we'll see this eventually, you could release your art on Ethereum and then, like, you know, send it over to Wax for safekeeping, if that's what you wanted to do, by like keeping the same mint number, by doing all of these things potentially on the other side of that. We're not quite there yet, but eventually, like, you know, it's not going to matter when somebody buys a piece of this artwork. You know, somebody in the real world, somebody that doesn't know anything about blockchain, but just figures out that it's way smarter to have shit digitalized, right? They're going to buy it, and then they're not going to be like, hey, I bought a piece of artwork on Ethereum, or I bought a piece of artwork on Wax. They're going to be like, I bought like a Love is the Answer Nathan original, and, you know, it's here on this little device, and that's my authenticated ownership of this piece of artwork, right? And, oh, what blockchain's it on? I don't fucking know, man. Like, that's
the thing. Nobody's gonna care eventually. I think that since we're all in tech and we're kind of nerds, we forget that other people like really don't care that much. They're just like, what's it worth?
Right.
And that's kind of it. You know, if you're like, well, it's worth this, and that's point, you know, for Ethereum, or it's this, you know, this many wax, like they're gonna just be like, what's that in dollars? So it doesn't really matter. Like people are just gonna try to relate it to their like whatever they're comfortable with. And I think we need to.
And I think
to make the internet.
Most people know that. And you grew up in like an old country house, right? So I'm assuming that you're
so, like over half my life I was in Chicago or the Chicago area. So like pretty city-ish. I love it out here, man. It's like I can actually think. I drive an hour a day from my apartment in the city actually to get to this farmhouse. So yeah, it's insane.
I mean, I actually grew up in a farmhouse, and so we had 5 channels. 2 of them were the same. One of them was channel 8. One of them was channel 10. They were exactly the same, except they had different commercials. But sometimes, depending upon the like configuration of the rabbit ears, like 8 would work better than 10, or 10 would work better than 8. Imagine if I was like, "Screw you, 8! I'm not watching you. You suck. I'm only going to watch 10," and the quality was worse. This is what maximization in crypto assets is essentially, right? It's
yeah, you're just choosing commercials you like better at that point. I mean, that's the thing. It's just like I think anything in tech, until we get past a certain point of essentially widening our bandwidth and interacting with technology on a different level, in some ways we're always just kicking the can the same way we do with, you know, like what does it mean to exist? Like, is there God who created this thing after this thing and before that? Like, we're always just creating a then what or what happened before that scenario. So, I mean, a lot of us are looking at it, you know, as in like, well, then this will happen and this will happen. I just think a lot of people in mainstream, like they'll never give a shit. The same way that they never had to learn about intranets. You know, it's like they just know, you know, they just essentially know how they log into their email and how they interact. Like, where do I type in the website? Like, that's really all people care about.
They might not even know that it's email. All they know is they don't have to go to the post office and buy a stamp.
Yeah, I mean, blockchain addresses, like any crypto wallet address, is just going to be like probably an email address eventually. Like, it's going to probably seem no different.
Well, I mean, it already happens, right?
It already is a place to send encrypted messages in some ways.
I mean, it cracks me up because like the Ethereum guys, they're like, oh, now we have like, you know, readable, customizable address as well. I mean, my address in Wax and EOS is readable, customizable. I just had to break it down to 12 characters because that's apparently that's where we are.
Hey, no, but Dan Larimer said that this is all superior. Anything EOS is superior, so there can't be a deficiency.
Okay, and here's where I'll throw.
That's the thing. I think that this is all. That's one thing I like about the project that I'm doing is like we need to quit being so tribal about like the things we do within our little subgroups and realize like we're all pushing the adoption of this beautiful technology that could change the world, and we shouldn't be squabbling with each other over like which version of the technology is cooler, better, more scalable. Like, well, and working together to figure out like how to make everything awesome.
And tech-wise, EOS might be superior, but if you're that superior, get your shit in order and take over the world already, right? Like, if people are using,
you couldn't even onboard people into that ecosystem for years.
Right. If people are using subpar technology and your technology is superior, then like seriously, do a reality check because you got to figure that out, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, Wax did a good job, I think, and that's the thing. Like, why? And I keep coming back to this as well, right? Like, I'm a writer, I'm a video producer, I do whatever. In what world does it make sense for me to create a video and then like walk into every other shop and say, hey, you're not a Walmart. You're not allowed to sell my shit. My shit only lives at Walmart. It's just stupid. Nobody in the real world does this, right? So
yeah, you're stopping people from liking you. I mean, it's like Sebastian, our buddy said. I mean, it's he was lecturing me earlier in the year about how I essentially, and shout out to Sebastian, by the way, we love you. He's amazing. And you know, a digital acid, Dutchy, Spliffy, Kenny, they're changing the world. I think eventually Dutchy will probably be president of the United States. And I don't want to harp on that too much, but it's just something that I personally see. Sorry, I got a little sidetracked. But he was telling me that essentially like I was making it hard for people to support me at a point because I wasn't being very responsible with messaging, marketing, promoting, anything. And I think it's something that we see is really what all of this shit comes down to. It's just like promotion and messaging, you know. Probably sidetracked us.
Sorry, what's that?
I probably got off on a tangent. I don't care. You know,
it's cool.
Dive. We're not diving deeply.
I mean, I like our deep dives because I used to be a lifeguard, by the way. I don't know if you know that.
Wow.
Yeah.
How long were you a lifeguard? That's impressive. Did you guard? How many lives did you guard ultimately? Did you save any?
Yeah, so it was like a small community pool, and I used to teach and be a lifeguard. And that was my
drowning people just to save them so that you got credit.
Yeah, it was only I didn't really save any lives. I mean, I guess I saved lives with my stern words of warning that said like, "You can't swim. Go back in the shallow end."
Yeah.
But I mean, it was a public community pool, so it was mostly kids. It was fun. It was my second job. My first job, actually, because my dad's friend was a butcher. So my first job was like working in a butcher shop. So my first job was killing animals. My second job was saving the children. It was a nice balance. I didn't actually. I just made hamburger out of the dead animals.
Some cultures would still fault you for that, and I'm kind of suspicious too. You see, it makes me think that you're kind of a savage, and that you would chop me up if you had the opportunity.
I mean, I kind of want to create a permaculture farm somewhere, and I think if I ever do that, I'm probably gonna rabbits are probably gonna have a big place in my diet because rabbits are awesome and they're small, they're furry, they're cuddly,
adorable.
But, they're adorable, but they're also the most sustainable meat source on the planet.
They're very mean too. If you really think about it, they're vicious creatures. They're
right.
They're probably if we don't eat them, they'll probably just take over the world and destroy us all. So I think some people might be against it, but it's probably a good decision.
Yeah, rabbits, they live for 100 years and their teeth just start growing. And there's cases where old ladies have died and the rabbits have eaten them and turned into zombie rabbits.
Same with cats. Cats will eat your body too because they are soulless. Even though I've me and the old fiance, we got a cat, and I'm not talking shit about the cat. I'm just saying, kind of savage creatures. They'll eat you if you die. They don't care about you.
Right. Yeah.
Shout out to all my cat lovers. I love you.
No. I mean, it's kind of our own fault for not putting cat doors in like we do dog doors, really.
I mean, why don't we just let the cat use it anyway? It's still just a little door.
I mean, most people who have cats probably don't have dogs. I'm just saying.
I mean, that's kind of a myth. Like I've seen a lot of cats and dogs get along really well.
No, I know it's a myth. I'm just saying.
It's just something that happened in Tom.
This is
all of America was like, you know what? They don't get along, do they?
And this is like the perfect segue into craziness, right? Like how many people argue over which is better, a cat or a dog? Like a lot of people, they're like dogs are better because they're more faithful, more loyal. No, cats are better because they're independent. And it's just kind of like, well, I mean,
it sounds like a personal problem. It sounds like depending on what kind of neuroses you have, you're going to prefer a different animal. So if you are seeking attention and approval, see, this is where it gets really bad. I'm not saying anything out there about you if you've got these animals. But I think that if you're seeking hardcore approval and attention, you'd like the loyalty of something. Where if you're really not into that, you don't want that close connection, you want it to be super independent. So I think it says something about the owner.
Maybe Ethereum is like owning a cat, and Wax is like owning a dog.
Well, and I think that I want one of each.
I like it. Right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I have a dog and I have a cat, just so people know. And neither one of them live at my place, so it's kind of perfect. But I love them. I give them hugs daily, and
that's awesome.
One lives at my fiance's apartment, and then the dog lives here at the old farm. I didn't take it with because my parents own its sister dog, and they're dog sisters. And if we split them up for even an hour, they just both cry. It's insane. They can't be apart. So I had to leave the dog behind, and it sucks because I love that dog so much. But I come here and I see it a lot. But yeah, I'm a both. I like both. I think any question in the universe where you're presented with two answers, it's always a little bit of each,
This is what I tell the missus. You can't tame the inner beast sometimes.
You can't tame the inner beast? What is the context to that? It sounds a little flippy.
I don't know. I just decided that that's something that needed to be said and put out there.
It's a good fun time?
Yeah, it's a good fun time.
Okay, I'll lay off of that. Gets weird quick if we go on that avenue.
I mean, it's funny. Like, I think we did a really good job. The first 35 minutes of the show was like standard professional. Like we hammered in some good shit.
Yeah, I actually talked intelligently about art, I think, for like a little bit. But I'm too stupid enough from being intelligent, so there's a problem. Right. But I think you know, as long as people know that secretly in my head I plan on, you know, having this long career as an artist that's not like, you know, Vincent van Gogh, where he had to die before he became famous. I reference that a lot, but it's something I do worry about. And I think every artist in the back of their mind thinks about that. So I don't know. I'm glad that I touched on it a little bit. I know I'm supposed to, or else it's almost like I'm not really doing it if I don't talk about it.
Well, yeah. I mean, and it's interesting, you know, like I think we do this show, we have fun. People know you from your community. People know me from mine. Our community has kind of collided recently, you know, with the YoshiDrops thing and all that's going on there. You know, you being guest on a couple of our channels, collaborations with Ken and other things. But what's interesting about it is we actually—
he's my sugar daddy. I'm his right? I'm his like he has like a pouch that I sit in when we hang out, like a kangaroo pouch. I sit in there like this.
For those of you that don't know, one of Nathan's biggest problems is he's actually only 5 inches tall.
I know, it's easy. That's why this room looks so big behind me. I'm actually super close to the camera. It's wild.
But yeah, like we just decided, you know, we decided to do this show and bring on guests and talk about, you know, people that were doing interesting things with music or art. But we realized a few days ago or a couple weeks ago that we've actually never done a shallow dive with you, like because you don't put yourself out there very much. Like you do your stuff, you send like a lot of the things that you're doing to friends. Like I said, I've seen some of your artwork. It's brilliant. It's amazing. But like the community hasn't. They haven't seen any of this stuff, right? They don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Like they didn't know about the whole Bang Out thing. They didn't know about the Dimitri Buterin thing. And so like this is really interesting and exciting. Like what happens when love blows up, right? Like, and it's a giant balloon floating in the sky, you know, with a lone teddy bear arm that's been, you know, ripped from the depths of open
I'll throw candy down and money.
Right. I think, yeah, very humble. I would agree more. So like I'm excited because there's a lot of really interesting things I think coming to the space, and you're moving some mountains unintentionally to do what you want to do, and I think that's going to be great. So, and I mean, I like I said, I'm excited to put something up. Let's do something in Chicken Con. We'll make a gallery. We'll put some of your art up once it goes live, once it gets released.
Maybe I'll drop a new song there. You know, Bang Out and I are working on this rap album. Like I said, I'm not like some you know, I don't consider myself like a rapper, I guess. I'm just like a musician, but it's something that I enjoy. It's something like I grew up listening to. I want to just pay tribute to the people that I love and kind of give a shout out and try to do my own thing. So I'm excited to keep doing that, and maybe we'll drop some of that stuff there because I know that Bang Out's working hard, probably even right now on some of the stuff. And like I said, I'm going there next week, and I'll give you a sneak peek of some of that music, but maybe it'd be cool to just drop something here or on that plot, or just do something where people that support us in the show can kind of, you know, like get a free one before, you know, before everybody else involved wants to make money off it, because I think we'll probably be marketing some of this outside of the crypto space as well, and sort of like the mainstream music space to a point. We're in contact with all kinds of people. So I don't know. I'm excited for the people who support it early because I think it's really going to blow up in the long term. So yeah, like maybe we'll do something just for them.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like we had Jonah from Atomic Hub Atomic Assets on the show last night, and I've been
Cool.
thinking about this for a while. And I asked him, I said, where is the button that I can just go in and buy like everything under a certain price floor, right? Like, and when I look at like music and art NFTs, and I guess there's like obviously complications to this, but like when I look at music and artist NFTs, it just blows my mind. It's like, I mean, you can call manipulation all that you want, but when I see oxymorons, digital vinyl sitting out there for less than one wax, I'm gonna freaking buy it because that shit deserves to be like not sitting on an open marketplace. And like, as Bang Out said when we had him on the channel, right? Like this is just the beginning. Like once musicians in the real world realize the power of these NFTs and the appreciation that the fans are going to have about like owning this little piece of music or artistic history, I mean, it's a game changer, right? Like it's going to be massive. It's going to be huge for the artists. It's going to be huge for the musicians. It's going to be huge for the fans. I mean, there's so many interesting things that programmable money in the form of NFTs can do. It's like, hey, you want to come into this concert? Yeah. You got a ticket that might be scalpable? No, you don't need a ticket that might be scalpable. Here's my blockchain account. Here's my pass that I bought, which also doubles as a kick-ass new released music video that that allows me to walk into any concert venue in the world as many times as I want and see these guys. I mean, again, like roadies, beware, because like, I mean, it's just going to be freaking awesome. Like, I'm super excited.
Yeah, it's going to change a lot of stuff, and it's fun. Like, like him and I were even talking. Bang Out and I were even talking about stuff like that. The just like how, I don't know. I mean, I think that a lot of people from entertainment are just so like happy about this stuff and the way that these things are probably going to work out for people in the industry that are, creatives, if you will, and business people too. I mean, I think that a lot of them are going to come around and be like, oh, like this is sort of a win-win scenario. Let's do this. So I don't know. I mean, I think that just a lot of people that I've come across from all walks of life, whether it's just like my friends that I grew up like, like just doing nothing essentially, like just artist stuff all day, like sitting around, to, people in the professional space, like these whales, like millionaires and billionaires, like even just like average normal people, like a dentist, a doctor, a lawyer, like anybody. This is just kind of, I don't know. It's sappy, but I like the space being so inclusive and allowing people to kind of participate, make money, and be themselves and live double lives almost. Like,
and most of us are spoiled, like in the West. We are really like the people who have that time, but. You had Ordona's on your show yesterday with Ken, and we've had him on before. And one of the things that we talked about when he was on our show was just the sheer potential of art that can come out there from the world, right? Like you spend a lot of time in Miami now, and we've had these conversations about like Miami street art and Cuban culture and like Latin American culture and like all of these people doing amazing things in the world that we're surrounded by, that make this town a beautiful place. And then you multiply that by 100 and you look at what's happening in other countries that we don't see. And now with the power of blockchain, we're actually, like TC says, we're actually able to import this music or import this art to anywhere in the world. And like no offense, because there are a lot of great American artists, but we no longer have to settle for second tier craftspeople because they were brought up in the right family. We can now find the best art from across the world, and we can take that and we can purchase it and we can use it. And I like your Van Gogh reference for a different reason, because one of the amazing things that Van Gogh did for me was he created this series of like Japanese based art. It's called the Roads to Kaido. It was from the original artist, and at that time Japan was closed, and the only art that got out of Japan was these really weird, bad kind of, prints of pottery, and he took it and he created his own series, even though he had never been to Japan. And that to me is exciting, because now for the first time ever, we have people like you who are going to get exposed
to art from Africa, to art from Latin America. And you're going to be able to take those influences and work in your own art. It's just going to be this snowball effect of immense goodness. Like, it's going to come rolling down the mountain. It's going to pick up a ton of people. It's going to smash into the building at the bottom. And like a happy Yeti doing like some kind of spliffy dance, it's going to pop out. And the world's just going to be a better place because of it. It's going to be freaking amazing.
Yeah, man. And I think I think that's so true. And I think that just as an artist, musician, gaining influences, it's going to be cool to just combine all these things and actually have something 1,000 years like from now that could be some sort of cross between, you know, a Mozart song and a Picasso painting. Like, there's this thing where, like, we're combining art and music now. Like, what if the Mona Lisa, like Hang Out and I's album is based on this concept? Like, what if the Mona Lisa could tell you her story? Like, what if she could speak and even sing to you and tell you exactly what's going on and the whole journey of the story, even about the artist. So, because I think so much of this work from like all over the world now, it all has such a unique and specific voice. And it's cool that these creators are going to have a chance to, no matter what remote corner of the world they're from, in a meaningful way, they'll be able to express themselves. And it might actually be here for hundreds, even thousands of years. Just depends on kind of where things go. But I think it's a great equalizer. It's like another just kind of like the moment where we had, you know, social media, video sharing, like, you know, your YouTube moment. This is just kind of unique as an artist to see that, like, all right, I can funnel all my talents into like single assets. Very, very cool, man. You used to have like a separate music and art career, and now you can be both. So I think that all these projects that I'm doing, I'm trying to show people, I'm trying to break out into the mainstream and show people that, like, hey, you can start here, which is a completely different place than people think. People think you got to start in the mainstream and break into this. And then like, oh, like I was a famous musician and then I did an NFT and that was successful, i.e., you know, Tory Lanez or something. But like with this, I see an opportunity to show people how to break out of such like a small niche world and out into the real world, and then bring people in return back and kind of, you know, show what's going on here, but in a way where it's just utilizing all my talents and the talents of the people I'm working with and like the team that I'm working with. And yeah, I don't know. I just want to kind of inspire other people to put the whole thing together and to try to like really make meaningful offerings that encompass their whole heart and soul.
Well, and we live in a world that like kind of, you know, idealizes the one-trick pony, as it were, right?
Yeah.
And most artists or most musicians, you know, they don't wake up one day and say, okay, I'm a guitarist, I'm never going to play another instrument again. Right? Like, okay, I'm an artist, I'm never going to do anything creative again, right? And I mean, that I think is kind of the power of where, you know, this basically NFTs and the ability to like make money being creative allows you to bring in more influences of other things to adapt. Yeah. And I guess, I mean, like the poster child for it is Bo Jackson. I mean, you can be a baseball and a basketball star at the same time, right? A football, you can play 3 professional sports at once if you want, right?
Yeah, you can figure out playing football and then just become a baseball star. I mean,
right? Across 3 different blockchains, and if it doesn't work out, you can always come back out of retirement and come back to basketball. You know, like the dunk master himself. I mean,
well, and that's the thing. I think while a lot of people see this space and kind of like appreciate it for all of its monetary and business type opportunities. I like that, but I really see it as an opportunity to just, you know, be a part of a new medium and express myself in a better way, where I'm able to combine everything and unify the different voices that I sort of project from like my being and then back out into the universe, you know. It's gonna be easier to like inspire and help people when you're able to just put all this stuff together. So I just see it as like another paintbrush or another tool in the chest where I think a lot of people view it as sort of you know, like a way to revolutionize their business or something, which I think is also, you know, this is that last like pen and paper side of things that's being usurped by tech, this blockchain stuff. So
yeah, I like it. And we've got some exciting things coming up on our roundtables and on our shows as well, where we're going to kind of talk about this stuff going the other way. Because now you can buy NFTs that enable you to get toys, you know, from the toy store or back and forth. So, but I like it. I got to go and eat some breakfast just because, you know, I'm not the one cooking, and my daughter. She gets a little bit cranky, but I like this. This is our first grassroots episode. I'll leave you with this nice view of a park where I'm sitting.
Nice.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And
I'm gonna go outside for my karate chop. I'm going to go. I hit the edge of the door there. I run into a lot of doorways. I'm always bruised up. I don't really watch where I'm going.
I like it because like before we went live, you were like, hey, I'm going to go outside with my coffee. You never made it out there. So this is the beauty of technology. You and I can sit in the sun. Here it's coming up. There it's going down on opposite sides of the world. And we could do like the nature karate chop until the next time we have the pleasure of doing this with some guests or our second Grassroots episode, because we're definitely just going to have to, you and me, sit down more often and talk about these things because this was good. I think
I like
this was great. Yeah,
I think the next one we should either get Bang Out or have another one of these.
Ooh, I like the idea.
An hour a day, like we're homies. So, I think getting him in here, we'd probably have to just watch the clock because him and I will talk for like 4 hours, and then we add you to the mix. That might be like 8 hours. So,
the first time I was on a stream with Bang Out, Yoshi showed up like 3 hours into it, and he's just like, come on, Bang Out's got to do some work. Will you guys just like
dude, he came in there and he was like, what are you guys talking for? Like, let's get some work done. Let's make some money here. Let's go.
Yeah,
he wants to see this art get out. I get it, but man, it's so funny to see a level of chemistry where you actually have to like break it up so that people can still stay productive.
That's right. That was one of our first streams, I think, that we ever did together as well, you and me. So that was fun. Love is the answer. You guys have got a lot of really cool things to look forward to. If you haven't figured this out yet, all of the backdrops on these shows actually is art created by Nathan. Honestly, like there's some really cool shit coming from Nathan's artistic repertoire, and I've seen like maybe 0.01%. I
have over 600 unreleased art pieces now.
That's a chop-worthy moment right there. Coming to a blockchain near you very soon.